The IDF is closely monitoring the situation on all Israel's borders and has detected preparations by Iran and Hezbollah for an attack. But Iran fears that Israel and the United States will attack its nuclear facilities, even though there is the possibility of massive fire by Hezbollah towards Israel. Hezbollah has evacuated its headquarters in Dahia and is otherwise preparing for Israel's retaliation, which everyone knows is designed to shut down Hezbollah's rocket firing capability as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, the IDF has begun to use a new method in the Gaza Strip, while the security situation in Judea and Samaria remains tense, with an Israeli citizen murdered in a terrorist shooting attack in the Jordan Valley. Let's dive into the details. I'm Yair Pinto, and this is your Boots on the Ground report about what is happening in Israel on the 312th day of the war against Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, and all of its terror proxies in Yemen, Syria, and Iraq. In the last 24 hours, the Washington Post news portal quoted an Israeli source who claimed that according to the latest estimates, Iran is planning a direct attack that could arrive in the immediate time frame. The Post also reported, quoting a source close to Hezbollah, that Iran feels that Israel and the United States will attack its nuclear facilities using escalation to neutralize the Islamic Republic's nuclear capabilities. Meanwhile, sources in the Middle East told the Fox News network that there is fear that Iran and its affiliates may attack Israel in the next day or so. At the same time, in the Wall Street Journal, it was reported that Israel entered a high military alert for the first time this month. According to the report, Israel is taking preparations, assuming that an escalation is imminent, but not aware of precisely when it will happen. Elsewhere, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said that the United States was preparing for significant attacks by Iran and its affiliates. According to him, President Biden spoke with the leaders of France, Germany, Italy, and Great Britain about the situation in the Middle East. As mentioned, Israel is on high alert, and earlier today, IDF Chief of Staff Halevi held a situation assessment and approved plans for the various arenas that threaten the state of Israel. The Deputy Chief of Staff, the Chief of Defense, the Chief of the Operations Divisions, and the Commander of the Northern Command, the Commander of the Air Force, and the Commander of the Home Front Command, together with commanders from the General Staff Forum, participated in this discussion. The Chief of Staff emphasized the continuation of the high level of readiness and the evaluation efforts for defense and attack. The United States has also continued to reinforce its military pressure in this region as a deterrent message to Iran and its proxies, and also to better protect Israel and contain the situation if deterrence fails. As part of this deterrent message, the Pentagon revealed Monday that it had sent the ballistic missile submarine USS Georgia to the Middle East, and that the arrival of the aircraft carrier Lincoln, which carries F-35C aircrafts, would be accelerated. Last week, a squadron of F-22 stealth fighters was sent from Alaska to a secret base in the area. In the meantime, diplomatic efforts continue to try to prevent a major attack for fear of a dramatic escalation and devastating regional war. On Tuesday morning, the leaders of France, Germany, and Great Britain issued a warning to Iran against an attack that would further escalate the tensions in this region. A joint statement by the leaders of these countries said such an attack would jeopardize the opportunity for a ceasefire and a hostage deal. Now is the time to stay tuned to the truth about what is happening in the Middle East and in Israel. At TBN Israel, we're building a robust social media presence to keep our viewers informed with the latest developments in real time from Israel and the Middle East. Go to all of your favorite social media platforms and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Please share the truth with anyone who seeks to know what is happening in Israel. Switching our focus to events in Judea and Samaria. On Monday, 23-year-old Israeli citizen Yonatan Deutsch from the community of Bet Shean was murdered in a terrorist shooting attack. From the initial investigation, it appears that the shooter fired at vehicles near the community of Rotem, resulting in one resident being moderately wounded. This resident was able to continue in his car to a nearby IDF position, where he was given medical attention and evacuated to a hospital by Magen David Adom. After a search of the area, Deutsch was found mortally wounded in his own car. A review of security camera footage from the road indicates that the shooters were in their own car, slowly driving around the area and looking for targets of opportunity. They found these two Israeli cars and fired at them at random, then escaped towards the Palestinian village of Tubas. From this village, it was possible to reach Nablus and northern Samaria. Before we continue, I want to give a tribute to the Magen David Adom crew, which treated the victims of this terrorist attack. Magen David Adom is the primary medical first response team that has been saving lives in Israel for decades by treating the wounded from terrorist attacks, natural disaster, workplace accidents, and everything else that you can imagine. They care for anyone who needs help, whether they are Jewish, Arab, tourists, refugees, or even pregnant women giving birth in their car as it's stuck in traffic. Many people I know, including close relatives, have received medical assistance from Magen David Adom, and I can tell you from that experience that it is a great comfort to know that this team is on the job protecting lives in Israel. They are entirely dependent on donations, so if you want to support their life-giving work, please go to www.savinglivesinisrael.com. Now back to the news, and switching our focus once again to the Gaza Strip. The IDF has been employing new procedures in the past month. Every area in Gaza from which rockets are being launched received an evacuation notice to population within a few hours so that IDF troops can enter that area to destroy the rocket launchers. There is nothing Hamas hates more than seeing its human shields evacuated from an area and leaving them with no cover to hide behind. An example of this principle can be seen in the recent IDF strike on Hamas terrorists who had set up their headquarters inside a school in the Darj Tufa neighborhood of Gaza City. Hamas knows that the Gaza City and the northern part of the Gaza Strip is the center of gravity in this war, because it is from there that they can most easily threaten Israeli communities in the future. That is why they want to maintain a presence there, and that is why one of the key demands for a ceasefire is to allow over 1 million Palestinian civilians to return to this area. Hamas doesn't care enough about these people to want them to return to the north of the Gaza Strip for their own benefit. They just want these people to be there so that they can be used as human shields in a future conflict. If we carefully follow the reports from the Gaza Strip, we will notice that there has been little reporting about IDF activities in the northern part of the Strip for the last month and a half or so. Without a doubt, there have been other stories that deserve their share of headlines, such as the assassination of Mohammed Def, the discovery of smuggling tunnels to Egypt, and of course, the operations in Beirut and Tehran. It is therefore difficult to pay attention to a phenomenon that requires daily statistical monitoring, but the number of reports in Gaza-based news portals about Israeli bombings in the north of the Gaza Strip is significantly higher than in all other areas. In fact, for about a month, there were daily battles in Gaza City, mainly in the neighborhoods of Tel El-Hawa Sabra, where a large tunnel was uncovered near the UNRWA headquarters, and also in other areas of the city. It is considered highly likely that several high-ranking Hamas operatives have been eliminated in these battles, including Ruhi Mustafa, a close friend of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, who shared a cell with him in the Israeli prison. Last week, the IDF attacked several terrorist positions that had been set up inside schools in the Sheikh Radwan neighborhood of Gaza City. The IDF announced the elimination of 19 terrorists from all over the city who were concentrated in the Dard school, and in surveillance photos, you can see that these terrorists are surrounded by a civilian population that they use as their human shields, and then, for propaganda purposes, if they are killed during exchanges of fire with IDF troops. In this context, I can also report to you that on Monday, the IDF spokesperson's office announced that it could confirm the identities of 31 Hamas and Islamic Jihad terrorists who were neutralized on Saturday in the attack on a military headquarters in the El Tabian school in Gaza. So far, the IDF believes that 19 commanders have been eliminated, including a member of the Hamas leadership, Yosef El-Khalut. Other terrorists who were taken off the battlefield in this strike included sniper commanders, intelligence and police officers, propaganda activists, and squad commanders. Palestinian sources also reported that Ahmed Atala, a senior official in the Hamas Interior Ministry, was amongst those that were eliminated. In related news, the IDF spokesman announced on Monday evening that Hamas published a message on social media in which it claims that in two separate incidents, a hostage was killed and two hostages were injured by the organization's operatives. Abu Ubaidah, the spokesman for the terrorist organization's military wing, said that in the two separate incidents, two of their organization's terrorists who were assigned to guard the hostages shot dead one of them and seriously wounded two others. According to him, attempts are being made to save their lives. The organization's announcement did not specify the names of the hostages. The IDF responded to these reports by saying that at this stage we do not have any intelligence that supports what Hamas is saying, so we cannot confirm or deny Hamas's claims. If I can make a personal comment here, I think that the most likely explanation is that Hamas is just playing head games with us, and this announcement they've made has no connection to reality whatsoever. In any case, I will take this opportunity to ask you to keep helping us spread the truth by sharing this video on YouTube, subscribing to our YouTube channel, and following us on social media. Take a minute and press the follow button so that together we can give the truth its rightful place. Switching our focus once again to the northern border and the campaign against the Iranian-backed terrorist group Hezbollah. This is a difficult and dangerous campaign that could get much worse very quickly, but we must remember that Hezbollah is also suffering tremendous losses and damage. Since the beginning of the war, the IDF has attacked approximately 6,800 targets from the ground and from the air. Data presented to the Ministry of Defense shows that in the last week alone, 52 attacks were carried out by IDF ground forces against terror targets in southern Lebanon, and another 51 airstrikes resulted in confirmed eliminations of 22 terrorists. This brings the number of terrorists taken off the battlefield since the war began to over 550. According to IDF intelligence estimates, that number includes dozens of senior operatives, including field commanders from the Radwan force, the elite commandos of Hezbollah, meant to launch October 7th style attacks on Israeli communities in the Galilee. IDF Northern Command has warned in recent days that there is still a danger that infiltration attacks could occur, adding that heightened vigilance and additional resources are needed to guard against this attack. Meanwhile, the Air Force is continuing regular strikes on Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon in coordination with the IDF Artillery Corps. All along the border, the IDF forces are on maximum alert almost 2 weeks after the elimination of Hezbollah's Chief of Staff, Fouad Shukar. However, the other side is also preparing accordingly, and on Monday it was reported in the Lebanese news portal that Hezbollah had evacuated its headquarters in the Dahia neighborhood of southern Beirut. Hezbollah knows that this headquarters would be among the first targets that the Israeli Air Force will destroy if major hostilities break out, and they apparently think that this is about to happen. There are also reports of more generic panic in this neighborhood as residents are left to fend for themselves in a desperate situation that Hezbollah is responsible for but has no intention of helping them to cope with. On that note, it is important to mention that the IDF has declared several times that its war is with the terrorist organization Hezbollah and not the people of Lebanon who are suffering and living under the terrorist attacks of the Iranian-sponsored organization that destroyed their country. So please, now is the time to take an active part in spreading the truth. Support us so that we can continue and bringing you up-to-date and detailed content about what is happening in Israel. If you'd like to receive more videos like this one, please donate to us by going to our website at www.tbn.org/Israel or click the donate button on YouTube. Going back to the Gaza Strip once again, the Hamas terrorist organization announced on Sunday that they do not intend to participate in negotiations meant to find a way to reach a ceasefire and release the Israeli hostages that are still being kept in the Gaza Strip. This comes as no surprise to anyone. Israeli officials say that their expectations for these negotiations were not high and that the Hamas announcement was expected for several reasons. To begin with, in the Middle East, a refusal to negotiate is itself a negotiating tactic. As one member of the Israeli negotiating team said on Monday, "We need nerves of iron here," adding that there are always head games and psychological warfare going on in these situations. But the mediators, including Qatar, Egypt, the United States, and other regional actors, are putting heavy pressure on Hamas to stop with the games and show up to the negotiations table. But aside from regular routine of psychological warfare, it is difficult not to notice that the tough, inflexible tone taken by Hamas came at the same time as reports that a large attack against Israel from Iran and Hezbollah was imminent. Hamas leader Yair Sinwar apparently senses an opportunity to grasp the exact scenario that he was hoping for when this war began, that all of Israel's regional enemies would strike her at once. Sinwar appears to hope that this would allow him to snatch a victory in this war, even at this late stage when Hamas has been almost entirely wiped out of the battlefield. But it is important to remember that Israel is not moved by the Hamas announcement and understands that this is just part of the psychological warfare tactics that are always part of the game when dealing with terrorists. So until the summit is held, the psychological warfare will continue. Please, this is the time to spread the truth, share and follow us, and pray. Pray for the resilience of the IDF soldiers. Pray for the peace of Israel. Pray for the return of the abductees home. And most importantly, don't forget to pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
Hello, this is Mati here in Jerusalem with TBN Israel.
This is Yair Pinto from TBN Israel here in Jerusalem. TBN Israel is keeping viewers informed with Israel-focused news, culture, and what God is doing in this land.
Support TBN Israel today online at tbn.org/Israel. Thank you.